So this is the push and jerk. Um, the push and jerk involves more forceful hip and knee thrust so that the bar is actually driven upward and caught with extended elbows in the overhead position with the hips and knees slightly flexed. The starting position grabs the bar with a closed pronated grip. Grip should be slightly wider than shoulder width. Step under the bar with the position the feet hip to shoulder width apart and parallel to each other. Move close to the bar so that it is resting on the anterior deltoids and clavicles. Extend the hips and the knees to lift the bar out of the supports. Step back away from the supports and stand in the middle of the platform. Position feet hip width apart or slightly wider with toes pointing straight ahead or slightly outward. All repetitions begin from this position. A preparation phase, the dip. Flex the hips and knees at controlled speed to move the bar in a straight path downward. Continue the dip to a depth not to exceed a quarter squat. Keep the feet flat on the floor, the torso erect, and the elbows underneath or slightly ahead, of the bar. Upper movement phase, drive. Immediately upon reaching the lowest position of the dip, reverse the movement by forcefully and quickly extending the hips, knees, and ankles, and then the elbows move the bar overhead. Catch. The catch for the push and jerk. After the hips and knees are fully extended and the bar is being driven overhead, quickly flex the hips to a dip position while simultaneously fully extending the elbows so that the bar receives overhead at the same moment that the bar reaches its highest position. Catch the bar with the torso erect, the head neutral position, feet flat on the floor, and the bar slightly behind the head, forming a straight line through the body. The recovery phase. After gaining control and balance, stand up by extending the hips and the knees to fully erect position with the feet flat on the floor. Keep the elbows locked while the bar is stabilized overhead. Downward movement phase. Lower the bar gradually, reducing the muscular tension of the arms to allow controlled descent of the bars to the shoulders. Simultaneously flex the hips and knee to cushion the impact of the bar on the shoulders. At the end of the set, step toward and rack it back on the bar.
Let's talk about the common mistakes with the push and jerk. So one common mistake that I've seen is on the push phase when you're pushing the bar overhead. Some people tend to hit their chin or hit their nose and got their head forward. You're supposed to have your head back, your chest up. That's another mistake. People have a bad posture. You want to have a good posture, chest up, kind of like flex your lats, keep your core tight, keep your glutes tight. That's another common mistake. Many people don't activate their glutes or warm up or stretch their wrists. So if you don't stretch your wrists when you're doing the front rack position, you'll probably have low mobility if you don't get a good stretch. You want to have good mobility, and if you can't do it, then you need to work on that. I'm not an expert at the push and jerk. It is a difficult move, but you can get better at it. And going into that, we talk about progression and regression. I'll go back to one of the common mistakes, but progression and regression. You want to progress. You want to practice. You could practice with a broomstick. That'll be the regression. You could practice just a technique with no weight. Just do it, no weight. Maybe a broomstick, maybe a little pipe. Work on your flexibility. Work on your mobility. Work on your core. Work on your glutes, and then you work your way up, and you'll see improvements. You can add weight to the bar. So back to the common mistakes. Another common mistake is when someone is loading their knees too much on the recovery phase. When you're recovering coming down, they load their knees too much. The knees go forward, more forward than the toes, and it's not supposed to. That's a huge mistake. You can get injured like that, and it could overall have a bad consequence on your knees. And ankle flexion is another one. You might not think that your ankles are being used in this upper body movement, but they are. Your lower body plays a big role in the push and jerk. since all your power is coming after you go under the bar and pushing it up. You drive it up with your lower body, not just your upper body. So yeah.
So now let's go over some of the muscles that are being used for the push and jerk. The major muscles involved is the gluteus maximus, semimembranosus, semitendinosus, biceps femoris, vastus lateralis, vastus intermedius, vastus medialis, rectus femoris, soleus, gastrocnemius, deltoids, and trapezius.